But you have come prepared. What a level of preparation?
Yeah, I have prepared.
Something.
I've prepared things.
Well, that's good. I'll let you shepherd this conversation.
Oh, great. Oh,
Someone's got to.
well, listen, I've done all that. It really feels like a one-sided fucking story at the moment.
What are you talking about? I normally come prepared,
Right.
It's just on this occasion.
And we're doing a podcast about discipline. The first podcast we've done in 4 months. And you've come, but you haven't had the time.
We planned this quite late.
Right.
We gave ourselves very short notice.
3 months.
No, it wasn't 3 months. Well,
to the viewers at home, Dave doesn't give a shit.
No, I take this all very seriously.
You take this seriously, yeah?
Well, yeah, I can be a very disciplined person.
Yeah?
Just, in fact, if anything, it was my other disciplines that stopped me from fulfilling this particular discipline.
Well, that's actually a topic in itself, isn't it, really, David? That's something that we can discuss in a moment.
Yeah,
but do you know what I'm going to do first?
What's that?
I'm going to say hello to the people. Hello, wonderful people. How is it going? I'm so glad that we're doing discipline today because we have, we've been doing some Nowky Nerds. We did the mini-sode not too long ago. But the long form podcast, we've struggled. We've struggled. I'm transparent about that. I'm willing to do it. But we stand here today, some more prepared than others. I'm
a wealth of experience.
You're a wealth of experience around discipline.
I am the research. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I don't need it. Okay?
Sure. You're the specimen of today's episode. Sure.
Exactly.
Sure. But you'll be happy to know that my name is Will Brocklebank, and over there is
David Hart.
David Hart, good to see you, my man,
good
my
to see
boy.
You. You're looking fresh.
I'm looking fresh.
Good.
Oh,
yeah. It's been a while since we've done this.
Sat across
from a table,
the wooden table,
spoken into a mic, and
it has been a while.
It has been a long time.
Yeah. So for those of you that have forgotten what the hell this is Expressions of Happiness, and Mr. David Hart. What the hell is this?
Expressions of happiness. I should have memorized this by now.
I can't believe it's the age-old question.
I've got it. Honestly, it's the age-old question. What does it mean to be happy?
Listen, the failure to prepare is really sticking out like a sore thumb already. No, I jest. I'm in jest. This is a very disciplined man. But you may have gathered through the not so subtle references that we've made so far. Today's episode is all about discipline. It's 2025. It's still January. People are thinking, you know what do I want to accomplish with my year? How am I going to get there? I'm thinking the same question. So we wanted to really deep dive into that subject, not from a research perspective. And reason being, and I don't know whether you found... That was completely unintentional, but I don't know whether you found this when you were researching. Oh God! Well, I suppose I don't know whether you found this maybe just in your own planning of your own goals,
in my
dreams,
musings,
and
my thoughts.
Yeah, but it is just riddled. The internet is riddled with things about self-discipline and strategies and tips and everything, and probably articulated in a way better than we ever can. But my opinion is that sometimes I'm going to call them hustle bros. I'm going to call them hustle bros. Sometimes there is a disconnect between the lived reality of someone actually trying to apply discipline and then someone that is speaking about discipline as a means of making money. If you want my humble opinion. So today's episode is actually not very research driven. It's going to be fueled by questions related to self-discipline in the things that we have experienced. And yeah, I suppose just give our own take on the trials and tribulations of applying something that, in my opinion, does make me very happy.
Yeah. I mean, as you mentioned earlier as well, like, I'd be really interested to know your thoughts about discipline that extends beyond our own experiences of it and how other people might perceive it, how it's kind of being commercialized in a way.
Absolutely.
Kind of being manufactured as something that it isn't, or perhaps it's romanticized in a way that makes it more appealing, or is a version of yourself that you should be, and kind of eschews or makes a shame of the things that we all deal with on a day-to-day basis. Discipline is an incredible virtue, and we all aim for it, but I do think there are some potentially negative outcomes, or not benefits, but negative outcomes from this obsession with a glamorized version of discipline.
I absolutely agree with you. And again, I think that's why it's a great topic to really dive into. But before we start, as we always like to do with this podcast, I want to bring us a little bit of good news to get us started.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about that too.
Yeah, I'm.
You can see the
fundamentally aware.
Vacant stare in my eyes.
Yeah,
you said that there.
Yeah, and honestly, this guy, all he's been doing has been sat on his sofa. Moves into a new house, and his life is now, eating sweet potatoes,
spaghetti,
and running, and then laying on the couch.
Yeah,
that's you. But
that's my discipline.
Yeah, that is your discipline,
and I commit to it
wholeheartedly. Yeah,
so,
yeah. But some good news for you, and I actually thought this was super nice. It's actually related to the opinions of children. So shout out to Positive News.
A bastion of
great website for anyone that's looking to collect some happier news stories that are occurring across the world. I think we can all acknowledge the challenges, or I suppose the drive to sell bad news, or bad news sells, I should say. Positive News breaking those barriers and really doing something special. But they recently reported, it's based on, I think it's Oxford University Press. So every single year they ask a whole host of children. So I think this year it was 6,000 children, what they would like to be named the word of the year for 2024. So this was a reflection on last year.
Okay.
The word that they chose?
Go on.
Kindness. Kindness was the choice. So 60% of those students chose kindness. Artificial intelligence was the second most popular word. Suppose that makes relevance. The reason I think this is an amazing news story is that I think it's considering this is 6,000 children, right, that have been a part of this, and 60% of those are choosing the word kindness. I think it shows a reflection and understanding of the difficulties that are being experienced in life, whether that's to do with wider societal issues, or if that's more to do with more of an understanding of the self and well-being and looking after themselves. I won't necessarily go through the entire article with you, but in my opinion, I think it's quite an encouraging thing to see that such young people recognize the importance of that word of kindness, and that we're celebrating the fact that those younger generations are trying to spread the word of love.
That's so good. That's hugely encouraging, actually.
Nourishing.
Because I imagine so many of us think that the generations that are coming after us are doomed to fail because we're growing up in, as you say, in an artificial world or a technological world where perhaps kindness isn't at the forefront of their minds. But clearly this demonstrates that's not the case.
Well, there's one quote I will pull out that one child said, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle we know nothing about. We should treat everyone with kindness. You never truly know how much it could help someone."
Oh my!
Come on now.
How old was this child?
Come on now. 35.
It's actually
it's a huge age bracket.
Right.
Huge. No,
and a really loose definition of the word child.
Childlike. No, it's between the ages of 6 and 14.
I mean, that is an incredibly mature and self-aware answer.
It absolutely is.
Wow. Hats off to those children.
Hats off to these wonderful little humans.
Well, thank you for that story.
You're welcome.
That was that's lifted my spirits.
It always lifts mine.
Yeah.
Thank you, Positive News. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
So let's dive into this, Dave.
Okay.
Self-bloody discipline. Are you ready for a real broad question?
Go on.
It's not that ridiculous. What is self-discipline?
Wow. That that is very broad.
Come on. If you were to try and define self-discipline, what do you think it is?
Self-discipline. It's self-discipline. You stalling?
Oh wow!
Is it hot in here?
What a poignant question!
Yeah.
Oh man, I really got to sit on this and really think about it.
When we think about the word, okay, I think self-discipline is a cook. I can't get it out now.
All right, sorry, man. I'm ready. I'm ready.
You ready? Grab it. Are you sure?
I have to be. Let me take a sip of water.
Okay, just take a breather. Take a moment. Just take a moment.
Oh wow! I tell you what, if I was wearing a white lab coat right now and you were my research subject, oh my god, I'd stop the test there.
You failed.
You failed. Get the fuck out.
You know nothing about self-discipline.
You know absolutely nothing. Oh god!
I think it's difficult. I think it's easy to practice, but hard to articulate.
It's a good job we're doing a podcast about it then.
Yeah, thank God.
Oh my god. Okay.
Well, it's a commitment to a process, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a commitment to a process, despite the way that you feel about what it is you're doing. You have to separate
There he is.
the feeling from the action.
Yeah.
I think that is what discipline is. It's not motivation. It's not willpower. These are all different like strands of discipline, or maybe even different, entirely different feelings or modes of thinking in and of themselves. But to me, in the broadest way, self-discipline is a commitment to the process, despite the feeling you have going into the action itself.
Yeah, that sense of doing it even if you don't feel like it.
But yeah, basically.
God, you could have just said that. Oh,
I mean, I could have just said that.
oh,
You
my
sprung
God.
it on me and I couldn't think.
I know.
You did say it'd be broad.
I did say it was going to be broad. I think this is a great podcast to do with you personally, simply because I've known you for so many years. I've known different Dave modalities. It's the way I would describe it. I'm going to make reference to oh God, now what's the film Inside? You know where they give the characters is it
Inside Out.
Is it Inside Out? Oh my
with
God!
with the cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that we're all made up of different versions of ourselves, and some creep forward more at certain points in time. Some sit more in the back and then sort of can swap and change, which can be a little bit more free flowing day to day. But I think in your context that you had a modality when you were younger, which was a dominating modality, and then in the last, I don't know how many years now. It's been a good set of years, if I'm honest, where you kind of just really flip that switch and you're like, it's time for me to really show self-restraint and discipline. So for you, from your perspective, because I'm sure you have internalized that and know that, can you recount this moment where you went from being this one version of yourself to being in that decision mode of going, right, it's time for self-discipline. This is the direction I want to take myself in?
Yeah. I think the only time I actually enacted any kind of self-discipline before that moment is learning to play guitar. But I think it didn't feel disciplined because I always wanted to do it. I was so obsessed and passionate about playing guitar that I didn't really feel like I had to will myself to do it at any point. But obviously, looking back retrospectively, that is an act of discipline because I'm still committing to the process day in, day out, even if I don't feel like I'm making progress. And there were lots of days where I didn't feel like I was making progress. But in reference to your question that you just asked me,
Me?
yes, you standing there with the black.
Yeah.
The question you just asked me, I just think I knew what was required in order to do the things that I believed I could do, and I knew the kind of life I wanted to inhabit.
What was that characterized by?
Can you elaborate?
So you were saying that you visualized kind of what you wanted to be.
Sure.
What did that in your mind look like?
Okay. It was someone that practiced what they preach. It was someone that didn't make empty promises. It was someone that no longer saw others as the cause of their failing. It was someone who took responsibility for their actions. It was someone who abandoned or neglected the idea that I'm the victim and I'm somehow the result of my environment. It was just taking ownership, effectively, like the person that just takes ownership over the things they're doing. And that's not to say there's not factors involved in the way that I was conducting myself during that time in my life. But yeah, it was just
There was more of a dominance of that perception,
yeah,
which was leading you
far more. And yeah, I think unless you're able to, for me anyway, if I wasn't able to inhabit or embody that feeling of ownership, I knew that I wasn't going to make it to the point that I wanted to be at.
Were there, so kind of beyond a mentality, were there certain actions that you were doing that felt self-sabotaging, where in the moment you were intrinsically aware of the fact that this is not kind of necessarily the person I want to be, but you kind of accepted in the moment what you were going to do, and kind of, you know, even if you still felt the guilt, you did it anyway? What were some of the things that maybe when you were younger were of impact in your own personal self-discipline towards the sort of person you wanted to be?
It was probably my perception of discipline, in that I thought it was quite boring. I thought it was someone that had given up on life in a way. Someone that
By being disciplined.
I
Interesting.
thought it was like someone who was dispassionate and had thrown away spontaneity and impulsion and all the things I thought was fun about life. And I thought being carefree and showing very little self-restraint was much more fun and adventurous. But of course, actually in the moment when I was carrying out those behaviors, there was always an internal monologue of one of shame, one of disappointment, one of dissatisfaction. And I just couldn't, I don't think I could reconcile those two things at once. So I carried on being the person I thought I should be. And of course, what happens as well, I feel like naturally, is that when you continue to be the person you think you should be but no longer want to be, others think of you as that person. So by no fault of their own, they begin to see you as that person, and you kind of buy into the persona that you've created. And then when you start making those shifts, people are like, "Oh my god, he's become this entirely different person." Whereas actually, you've been sitting on this idea for the longest time. You just haven't actually shared it with anyone.
Your nickname did used to be Long Dave.
Long Dave, yeah, because I was just so
always so
late
nonchalant
and
late, and yeah, it was just impossible to tie you down.
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
What do you think took you to? What was the first act of self-discipline that you showed? Was it a commitment to exercise? Was it a commitment to reading? Was it a commitment to getting better sleep? Like, what was like one of the first things that you can remember where it became a new habit?
I think it was. I want to say, I think it was exercise orientated. Because at this point I was still playing lots of guitar and I was playing it daily, but I suppose I wasn't doing it in a kind of methodical way. I was just noodling a lot. But yeah, I wasn't living a particularly healthy lifestyle. I was smoking a lot, smoking, not just tobacco, but all kinds
other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Just drinking. I mean, just kind of, an abandonment of my health, staying up very late. So I think in the first instance, it was my health overall, I guess. So exercise, as you say, sleep. Then I started listening to more podcasts, started reading more books, started being more interested in those things. And actually, I think the root of this is self-belief, is being confident in who you are and being confident that you can be the person that you actually think you can be. I think I lacked a lot of self-esteem, or had big self-esteem issues, which then made me ill-disciplined. But I think once I started to believe and started to buy into the idea that I'm more than this and I deserve more than this, then I was able to, I feel like, truly inhabit a disciplined lifestyle. But in terms of the action, it was exercise, namely climbing. Climbing was what.
Oh boy.
Climbing is what something just resonated with me when I entered that gym for the first time and started climbing. I can't describe it. It was just a real connection, and then from then on, it was just a
barrage
head down, obsession
with exercise. I mean, for anyone that hasn't seen any of the stuff that Dave has done, for me, I think it's a massive triumph. Only not because you were a lesser of a person when you were younger. We were as close friends then as we are now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this journey that you've gone on of self-discipline. Like this is discipline in sheer action. Like there is no two ways about it. You've done some of the most ridiculous fitness challenges that any close friend of mine has done, with your sights set on doing some bigger and better things. But I think exercise personally is one of the greatest ins to self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Because of just the nature of it. If you don't do it, you're gonna, well, don't do it, you're gonna lose it, right? If you go to the gym 5 times a week for 6 months and then you go, right, okay, that'll do, and then stop, well, you're gonna lose all the benefits of that. So it's that sense of having to show up truly, even if you don't want to, and find that healthy habit. mean, what exercise has done for me is quite ridiculous. And I know I'm a PE teacher, and I think that was probably more inspired by the sporty background that I had when I was younger, where I was playing like basketball, football, tennis. I was playing for teams and things, but how that shifted very, very quickly for me post university, where exercise became this different thing for me. Before, it was very much about the competition, and I suppose competition against others and being successful in that realm. This belief of taking the sport to certain heights, right? And when you then come back down to reality a little bit, because in my eyes, I was probably spreading myself too thinly with the sports I was playing, all the things I wanted to do in my life. You then start to kind of reevaluate how you're spending your time and how does exercise fit into that. And that's when the gym became a bit more of a focus of the things that I did. And that was, I mean, I can still remember it. Like I've been at my school now for this is my 8th year teaching, which is a bit nuts to think.
Almost a decade.
Almost. All right, come on now.
Yeah, well, you might make it.
I had a haircut to get the greys off. All right, I don't need to bring that up, but I can remember that first year I was working there. I didn't even live in Cambridge, and I was getting up at, my God, I must have been getting up at like 4:30, 4:45 to get myself. And at that time we were doing renovations to the house, so like there was like no walls downstairs. It was like the height of winter. And I was getting up at such an early time so that I could go to the gym still in Cambridge before then getting to work for about 7:30, 7:45.
Mm-hmm.
And the getting up part never got easier. And to this day, I have never woken up and gone, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Mm-hmm. There's certain actions that you can do within about 5 minutes. You do feel like that. But when you first wake up, I have never, ever felt ready in a given moment.
No.
But it's about the bigger message, because I don't want to do the 5 p.m. gym stuff. I don't want to be in amongst that. I also want to use that time for other things. But it was this commitment to a cause. In my mind, I was like, I just got to keep chipping away. I've just got to keep doing it sort of day after day after day. Mm-hmm. And in and alongside the background that I had in education, the support that I had from both my parents, but my mum being a teacher, so she knew the process of like when you're revising for exams and the commitment you've got to make to that. Those two things built this self-discipline of understanding the value of hard work, but just remaining very consistent in what you do and how you approach things that you really care about. And that has been a huge influence on, I think, then what I have been able to commit my time to doing post that anyway, or in what I do outside of school anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's interesting because it almost the discipline to go to the gym. Do you think that's the same as the discipline to do what you're doing now, which is obviously now it's become something different. And I want to just fill the viewers in, because we did a little bit of I'm gesturing to the ghosts and the ghouls here.
I can open the front door if you want and let a few people in to listen.
Yeah, well, I've got a few I actually invited a few people.
Did you?
Yeah,
and they're just outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they're just in the wing.
In the wing. Yeah,
just in case.
They're in the wing, just in case we,
Yeah, sure.
One of us passes out.
Continue with your...
Yeah, sure. But yeah, I want to give a bit of backstory here, because obviously this is kind of under the umbrella of Serotonin Sessions, right? This business that you have built from the ground up. And, I'm tremendously proud and so impressed. But I think, again, this is just a testament to discipline, because I remember when we were living together and it isn't what it is now. You didn't have a base where you could have events, and
I didn't have any of this.
You didn't have any of this. You had a brand, but all of it was quite a bit loose and quite ethereal, and you were putting things out there. But I just remember that despite the outcome, despite the days where you didn't want to do it, despite the times where you felt like you hadn't made any progress in months. I still remember you were on that table getting work done, putting ideas down, putting things on social media, reaching out to people. I mean, whatever it was, what you were doing it. And honestly, it really influenced me, because I think when you're in someone else's company, you watch them doing it, you're like, God damn, like, how are they able to, summon this discipline? And obviously now it's paid off hugely, massively. But I suppose the bigger question here, as well, I want to say, is like, do you think there is a distinction between sitting down to do work for your business or getting up at 4:30, 5 a.m. to go to the gym? Like, are they two entirely different things? Does it require a different level of thinking? Is there like a standardized practice for discipline?
I think the biggest influence is goals. It's goals, right? When it comes to self-discipline or creating that pathway for self-discipline, you kind of need to know what it is that why you're being disciplined for, right? In my life, exercise is important. My health is important, and to me, exercise needs to be a non-negotiable. I would like to be active and healthy and able to use my body freely until the day I die. I don't want to feel like I've wasted this body, basically, to say to myself, actually, did I really push what my body was capable of as far as I possibly could? So that sits for me as a physical goal. I think that I've been a bit too, like, I've had goals in relation to exercise, but I don't think I've been succinct enough. I don't think I've set specific challenges that I want to overcome. I think it's been a bit more of a broader goal of ensuring that I'm exercising frequently and it's good quality, and that's why I hold myself accountable by having or paying for an online coaching program. Shout out to MacFit, my man, good shit. It's not because I have a PT qualification. It's not that I couldn't do it myself, but it's about making sure that what I am doing is of high quality. So I'm using that time more effectively. And then we're obviously in discussion of a bit more of a functional fitness objective, which there's more to come of that. So I think that's one goal that I have, which is the physical goal. In relation to the stuff that I've done with serotonin, I don't think that I have ever tested. I thought I had really tested myself on the PGCE course. The first Christmas during the Christmas during the PGCE course, I don't think in my entire life I've ever been more tired than that very specific moment. At least in that given moment of my life, I was so tired because I was. For those of you that don't know anything about teacher training, when you're early doors and you're learning everything, the biggest thing is you have to do these massive lesson plans. Like, they are humongous and they take hours. Well, they should take
like a week or
for like a week. So
okay.
You have to make a lesson plan for each lesson. It's not that you don't plan lessons now, but at that point when you're really trying to drill in the mechanics of how to teach a good lesson, that you have to spend so much time on them. And it kind of comes into that perfectionism element that we'll come on to talk about. But yeah, at that time I was so tired. But what I am doing now, I think that I go through these waves of sheer energization, of like just motivation and commitment and drive. And then you have these days where you are just like flat out exhausted. Because I'm doing the exercise at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm doing a full day of schoolwork, doing a club, whatever it is, then doing extra schoolwork. Then you get home, you cook, and then you sit down. And it's, as you saw, is that when it gets to about 7:30 until I go to bed at about 10, I am sat and I'm thinking about it. Even if I'm not actively doing, I'm thinking about what I can do to build and grow serotonin. But it's because I take a lot of satisfaction in the fact that it's something that I have in my own mind have such creative control over. And there is nothing more motivating than starting something from literally nothing. Like you said, when I started, I had no idea what this was. I knew that I wanted to support the well-being of people. That was kind of like what I knew. But how I got there, I didn't know. I knew things I really wanted to do. And then, yeah, fast forward to today with the football sessions, and then this podcast, and then specifically the events. You know, that was created from nothing, and purely from just being consistent, being able to communicate the right idea when those ideas came, committing to the cause. So it is, and I can't even stress it's that I've made great from where I started. I've made some amazing progress. There is just no denying that. I'm so happy with what I've been able to achieve. Now I can, all these different skills that I've learned, but there's still so much further to go with it. So my secondary battle now comes, which I think is a really important thing for us to discuss, is that I have shown self-discipline, and I've shown self-discipline for years. But when the goal, I'm a process person. I'm not always about just the end goal, but then it's about how do you keep that self-discipline for endless volumes of time.
A lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Basically.
So you tell me, let's bring this back to you on your exercise front. Because you're a manager at a coffee shop. You've got relationship, family, friends, things like that. But you will exercise pretty consistently twice a day, and you have now done for 3 years. So what in your mind has kept you there? What's kept you in the pocket?
I do think goals are really important. I think they box you in. They give you a path to follow. That's if it's too broad, if it's too vague, if it's too wishy-washy, then I would find it difficult to commit to a process. So for me, it's having a goal, and that could be something really small. It could be something really big and grand. Like, depends where you're at on your journey, right? I mean, I've still got much bigger goals I want to attain, but I suppose it's the long term as well. Sometimes I'm thinking of, because it's almost like a streak. It's like if I know that it's not always about the quality of the session, but it's just actually about turning up to the session. It's about maintaining that momentum. I just think that is, for me, it's hugely important. I always preach this to Susie, my girlfriend. I'm like, it's not about what you do. It's just about showing up. Even if it's 5 minutes, it just cements in your brain.
This is important to me.
This is important. However you choose to, articulate or define that importance in your head. So yeah, goals is a big one. I think there does need to be, I suppose, a level of passion, a level of commitment, a level of, I think you need to define what it is, that's why it's important as well. It's a big one.
I mean, I actually saw, because I did read a good chunk of time, and sort of keeping in on that, on the goal sense, that, so there is, you will in your mind think, okay, actually I want to do this thing. And then you do have to box it in slightly, and then you have to create levels to the box, which is what you were just describing. So that you've got these big ambitions, and in my head, I have got this. There's a big ambition that I have,
and that's top tier. That's on the very top.
From my feasible mind, right? In terms of a target that I could feasibly get to if the stars align. But then underneath that is the much smaller goals, like trying to break it down. Well, I go down quite literally to almost the daily,
right? Yeah, the micro
level of Thursdays and Fridays specifically. I will write down basically everything that's in my head on a page, And also, it gives me kind of a vision of what I kind of want to try and accomplish with the day. And it's not to say that I'm going to do everything that's on that page, but I then take those things and then move it into other categories of like kind of what are the essential things? What do I need to do today to feel like I've accomplished the day? And then kind of what are the secondary and then the further goals beyond that. And I think that when you accomplish certain goals that you have identified as important, I think that's when you get that sort of sense of gratification. But that those having the third, fourth level goals, small, quick wins, I think are really, really important as well. So you have to give yourself the chance to experience success, because if you go too big, even on a 1 day level, right? I'm going to complete fucking, I don't know, like I'm going to create this whole new website in a day. I mean, that's a fucking ridiculous example. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but something drastically massive. You're never going to finish it.
Yeah.
Setting yourself up for failure. And I think that in your situation that you kind of had like about like a big goal every 6 months. And then because you were following a training schedule, you then had kind of goals that would work week by week.
Yeah.
So you then were able to experience the success on a daily level, which kind of helps to then push forward that motivation and keep you disciplined.
Yeah. That is such a valuable point actually, because you can have, as you say, ancillary goals that support.
You're a big boy, big words, aren't you?
No, I wasn't trying to.
No. Well, here we go.
I just thought it was a good opportunity to use the word,
Fucking get this guy a thesaurus.
So the ancillary goals, but no, you're right. I mean, if you said to yourself, okay, I'm gonna commit to, if you take running for an example, okay, right, I need to run 10 miles today. That's my big running goal for the day. Okay, I only ran 5 miles, but what are some of my ancillary goals? Okay, that is to prepare my breakfast for the next day. That is to make sure that all my training gear is ready to go the next morning. That is maybe to do 5 or 10 minutes of stretching so that I feel looser the next day. Just those small micro, because then, as you say, you tick those off and you feel like you're supplementing part of the work that maybe you didn't do that day. Like all of it is working towards that far bigger goal that you have in mind. That's a really great way to stay in the pocket for sure.
Stay in the pocket,
stay
baby.
In the pocket.
Stay in the groove.
I think as well that people, and I'd like to hear your take on this as well, but
no.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Go on.
I think people. Why do you think people aren't able to remain disciplined? Because I think one key reason is because they're not expecting it to be as hard as it is. They're not expecting to be that level of discomfort, especially if it's something that they actually enjoy doing. For example, so I mean, take your serotonin sessions as an example, right? It's your baby, it's your business. You're extremely passionate about it and you're devoted to it. But there are going to be many days where you're looking at it probably with disgust and disdain, and you're like, I don't want to do this work. I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
That was me yesterday.
Well, yeah, and it's uncomfortable. It's deeply uncomfortable.
It's very difficult.
And I think
makes you weigh up everything. You're
yes.
like, fuck, I'm putting all this time in, and yeah.
And I think some people aren't able to ride out the discomfort. I think maybe, I don't know this to be true, but maybe there is a misconception about that if I have this grand goal, that I'm going to be motivated enough to do it because of X, Y, and Z. But then as soon as the discomfort comes and a prolonged or protracted period of discomfort, they give up.
So resilience is huge.
Yeah.
I think resilience is
and
can't be understated.
But being accustomed, like the more you sit in discomfort, the more you understand discomfort.
But I think that when you've there's many different things in life where you can experience this, but I come back to exercise with it. It's different. Like with the serotonin stuff, mentally I am fatigued, which in some capacities I find harder, because when you're like mentally drained and then you're trying to drive forward with something, it feels like a real slog. But it's what I first experienced then with exercise is that things is uncomfortable, like trying to do those extra few reps or trying to add that, cut off 30 seconds off a certain time. It is difficult. But then when you have to go through it, you have to like go through the process in some capacity of your life, see its success, and then mentally capture that to then be able to apply that to other things. And I feel fortunate that I've had those moments across my life. So I think it's that if you haven't necessarily valued the importance of resilience when you're younger, or it's not been reinforced to you enough, or you haven't had the support network around you to really drive you through these difficult things, I think then when you get older, I think that challenge is significantly harder to overcome. It's not impossible, but I think if you've had that set up when you're younger, and it's what I try, I suppose, and teach the students that I have at school, is certainly when it comes to exams, truly, like GCSE exams are not fun. You have to do fucking so many exams. Like it's hard. Like there's literally no two ways about it. I'm glad that I am past that part of my life.
Yeah, same here.
Even though I have to sort of guide students through it. But the big thing is resilience there. But I think another really crucial thing about the issue that can come with self-discipline, and I definitely have an issue with this, is just trying to do too many things.
Yes, I hear you there, brother.
Yeah. Now, sorry, let's get that going. If, let's say, for example, right, we had 1 hour of the day where we could do something towards a goal that we have set. If you are trying to do 6 different things in that window of time, if you think about how truly little time you're dedicating to that thing, so you're going to make some progress, but it's going to be slow and it's going to be inconsistent. Whereas if you realign that and said, right, I'm going to do this one thing in this hour, the speed at which you're going to make progress on that thing is going to be significantly better. And I know this is a problem when I started Serotonin, it wasn't a problem for me, truly. Actually, my internal thought process, and I still stay true to that, is that my goal at that point was actually not even necessarily to grow serotonin. It was more to do with learn as many skills as I possibly can. What can I learn that's going to help me, even if, say, serotonin blew up tomorrow, if I was then going to another job, what can I tell them that I have learned and what I can do and what I can offer? So in that stage of it, it kind of, in my head, even if that wasn't necessarily the right answer, hence the research, not necessarily always going to be the absolute directive. At that time, it felt right. Now, I am plagued with the fact that I want to exercise, I want to see my mates, but I need to be at the Grain every Saturday, I need to plan events, I need to do the football, I need to do the podcast. All of which, amazing things, really important parts of my life, but it is too much. It is, and I intrinsically know that it's too much. And as a result, it's not to say that my overall self-discipline is bad, but my self-discipline, when it comes then to my micro goals or my micro actions, can be missing sometimes. So on the face of it, someone's self-discipline can be good, but actually when you deep dive into some of the actions of what they're doing, actually there's some issues with the discipline.
Yeah, that's so true, because when you load your plate too much, I think I made the analogy the other day of like a buffet of, when you load your plate and your eyes are bigger than your belly, and you sit down and there's just too much to fit in that window of time. You've piled your plate too big. Whereas actually, if you'd taken your first plate and you'd been appropriate with it, reasonable, and you'd picked a couple of things, then that's manageable. You can eat it all and it's digestible. And it's like, I think that's so true. And you have to be, when it comes to discipline as well, as you mentioned there, yes, there has to be compromise and there has to be sacrifice, because if you were always saying, oh, okay, I'll go to this event, or I'll go and see these people, or I'll watch that program, or whatever it might be, this is just the window of time that you're not focusing on the things you said you would is just growing and growing and growing. But then on the flip side of that, you have the converse where if you're solely focused on what it is you're doing, then you're finding no time. The opportunities to spend more time with other people or doing other things shrinks drastically. And it can cause like conflict and issues in your life.
I think it's a really fragile position to be in. Yeah. If you want me to be brutally honest, because this is the thing when it comes to setting out goal, when it's self-discipline. This is why I kind of haven't really referenced like some of the YouTubers because there is just a wealth, and it is amazing in many contexts, but I think personal experience is worth it. But the issue I think that comes is that sometimes self-discipline is perceived as like every little minute moment of your day has to make sense. Like it needs to be rigid, structured, like get up at 5 a.m. By 5:02, I'm splashing my face of water. By 5:07, I'm
taking a shit.
Biggest shit of my life. And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But then the fragile state that comes from that is that you then, because life is just, it ebbs and flows, things change. Yeah. So if you are so rigidly stuck in routine and like can't see that actually if you haven't been able to do this time, like that's not the end of the world, then you can become angry, upset, and you just kind of feel like you're a failure and being like, oh God, I haven't done this today. So it really, like, I would never say to someone like self-discipline is it's a set scales in so many on so many days. It's that you need to show restraint, but at the same time, like, you need to just take note of what is in front of you. Like if you haven't seen a mate in 4 years and they out of the blue text you and say, oh, I'm actually in town for this evening, and you're more like, oh God, I'm gonna miss like a gym session, or like, oh, I was really meant to do that post today. Like, come on, like let's bring come back to that inside out situation. It's important to acknowledge mentality. I really did want to get that workout in, or I really wanted to do this thing. But then don't forget about the other parts of you of like, I don't know when it's the next. I've not seen this person in years. When am I next going to see them? Is it going to literally be the end of the world if I sacrifice this? Or could it be like that you make compromises and go, okay, well, I'm not going to go exercise today, but I'm going to stretch, or I'm going to go for like a 15-minute run and then shower and go, right? So it needs to ebb and flow based on what is happening right before you. But you can't then use that as an excuse to say, oh, okay, every Thursday I'm now not going to do the thing that I really want to work on.
Yeah, it's as you say, it's such, it can be such a difficult and precarious position to be in, because, you create your boundaries, you create your kind of structure for the week, and you have, I call them non-negotiables, right? The things that that you are wholeheartedly, completely committed to on a day-to-day basis. For me, that's my running, and that's my morning running. I've lost my train of thought.
Well, if he came in planned, ladies and gentlemen, he might know what he was fucking talking about. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
If I can take some of that.
Yeah, I suppose, what was I trying to say about you with regards to the friends coming to visit, and like,
your non-negotiable is running in the morning.
Yes.
However,
sometimes
I'm a lazy fucking shit and I want to stay in bed.
Well, yeah, I do.
When was the last time you did that? When was the last time you just stayed in bed?
I don't know.
Oh my fucking God.
There are days, the days I don't run, which is like
the days I don't run, which is none. I run every day. I run every day.
No, it's one day. It's a Monday. No, it's not. It's a Sunday.
It's good self-discipline, but the benefit there is that it's early morning.
Yeah.
You aren't necessarily doing anything else.
Yes. It is early morning, but that
when was the last
makes
time
it
you
that
missed?
much harder.
When was the last time you missed a workout after work so that you could go and do something else?
Probably quite a few times. Last time probably would have been actually it was last week we met up.
Nauki Nerds?
Yeah, Nauki Nerds. Nauki Nerds.
Nauki
And
Nerds,
then,
baby.
Yeah, and then actually there's quite a few times with Susie as well. Like if I've made again, it's you. I think it's being flexible, having a level of like having some bandwidth, having like some wiggle room with some of the things you've committed to, and saying, okay, I can't do it this Thursday, but I'll try and do it again next Thursday, or maybe I've got a free Friday. Maybe I can move what I was doing Thursday to Friday. But I think I found it so difficult to try and strike that balance of being disciplined, being committed, but then not egregiously overseeing all of the things that also you find really important, like friends, family, and other hobbies and pursuits you might have that aren't part of your like rigid discipline structure.
I think that's there's certain friends that I have. There's two specific friends I can think of. One of which you are, who when they commit to a cause, they commit wholeheartedly. Like there is no off switch. It is like I'm going to learn and do everything about this thing to the greatest degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious whether that was something that you internalized and found as a real challenge to overcome, like that willingness to switch off and not do that thing so that you can prioritize and go and do, going to see friends and things like that.
Oh, it's a real struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to be very honest about that. It's I have like
even when you have the chance to see this beautiful face.
Oh, well, if I have the chance to see you, of course I'll come see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I think if the difference here is that I will gladly, I want to see friends. I want to see other people. I want to do other things. But there is a level of like self-abasement that comes with not doing the thing I said I was going to do. There is that inner dialogue, which I am working on, but it comes in strong, and it's like, you should have done that. You should have committed to the process. You didn't do it. Now you're going to lag behind. Now, you've lost a little bit of momentum here, or, are you going to be able to achieve the goal that you'd set out to achieve? Like it's that questioning. It's that.
Well, I actually think it comes down to knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So there, like, for example, your steadfast commitment to the process or the goal that you've got is a strength, because it's allowed you to run an ultra marathon. It's allowed you to do that month of challenges. It's allowed you to run a marathon, half marathon, consider bigger, better goals, right? So there is strength, there's commitment to being able to get up in the morning. There's things that you do really, really well. And then in part of that, there comes weaknesses. So it's about kind of being very honest with yourself, recognizing what certain weaknesses are, and putting some strategies in place to overcome them. Because like in my own personal experience, I because of the nature of the things of the message that I need to get out there, I end up having to spend a good chunk of time on social media. And honestly, I keep this journal every year for stuff to do with serotonin, and it has my reflections and musings. I kind of do it every 6 weeks or so. I'm not necessarily someone that writes it down every single week or anything, because I do that more as like targets or whatever. But I think I can recall for 2 and a bit years, every time I've come to certain reflections at some time of the year, I've written down, I need to figure out how to deal with this social media thing, because I was using it correctly, but then after finished using it correctly, I was using it incorrectly. And in my opinion, like late last year, I felt like I fell down the biggest of all rabbit holes that I've ever had in the world of social media, where I just was not using it for what it should be. So I'm actually trialing. There's an app that I'm currently trialing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where it kind of gamifies it, because you know, I track the screen time and I set the Apple things and X, Y, and Z, but it's never really got me anywhere. I don't think internally I was ready to make those changes, nor was I setting the precedent to do it either. Still early doors in me using this app, but it's called Be Present. You literally pay like 30 quid for like a year, something like that. And it kind of gamifies the process. So there's certain apps that it will allow through. You kind of set targets on how much time I'm going to spend on social media, how much time I'm going to spend on certain apps, and also if I'm going to go on that app, how long am I allowed to spend on that app? So say, for example, like I've got mine set that I tried to be on my phone for 3 hours or less a day, which in the context of like WhatsApp and Spotify and like stuff I'm doing for Serotonin, that's reasonable in looking back at certain averages. And then I've set like things like Instagram. I can only be on Instagram for 5 minutes. I'm allowed to do it. I've allowed it 10 times a day because I need to do posting and stuff like that. I'm only allowed to do it for 5 minute chunks, and it kicks me out. And then
You can't re-enter.
So I can re-enter it. So I can do it 10 times a day, but because it's gamified the process, it's like I'm kind of you have these leaderboards and you can get like benefits. Like I can get 20% off like BetterHelp therapy or Headspace. I can get 30 days off of that and stuff. So you kind of go up the leaderboard and then earn rewards by doing that, but then it kind of keeps track of like certain streaks and stuff that you've done. And honestly, I've been using it for 2 weeks, and my usage has gone down by 2 hours a day.
Wow.
In
2 hours?
2 hours. So I was averaging 5.5 hours a day, something like that. But I was but you have to.
Some of that is
you have to contextualize. That. But in my opinion, I reckon there has to be at least like an hour and a half of like wait, because it doesn't feel like you're spending that much time on it. But before you know it, like 10 minutes is gone and you've done it in a lunchtime or something like that. And then you're on to the next thing and you finish work, you sit down and you kind of look at it, and then you eat some food, you look at it again. Like, and I was watching YouTube. I was watching YouTube on my phone quite a lot as well.
The shorts.
The shorts, and then just like full length videos, which I suppose I count less. But yeah, I've reduced it by 3 hours because I recognized that I was getting nowhere on this weakness. So that even though it's an app, I think it comes back to like having an accountability partner. I think having someone that is pushing you forward on these goals, and I'm going to shout someone out here. Actually, I said I was going to do this today. It's poetic segue. Guy called Jake, who runs Maison Label, house label in Cambridge, only big label in Cambridge. Shout out to you. Only.
Yeah.
He is unbelievable. Mate, ridiculous.
Yeah.
But his discipline of commitment and his commitment to the cause and the process and the nuanced behaviors is like, I considered myself to be disciplined with the serotonin stuff. He takes it to a whole nother level.
Right.
And as a result of that, I felt like I've kind of gained a bit of an accountability partner of like, I'm kind of watching and seeing what he is doing and checking in with him on what he's doing. And then I also feedback what he's doing. And I think that has made a huge impact on what I'm able to do. And it's similar with you when it comes to, suppose with this, but then also with exercise. If you can find someone that's sort of on that similar journey with you and just like keep checking in and keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
But things like social media is a little bit harder. That's a personal battle.
Yeah, that is. I mean, well done already. Like, that's super impressive that you've already managed to reduce that time drastically.
Unbelievable.
And you say the gamifying element makes it like fun and appealing, and obviously you are quite a naturally competitive person, so then you're probably looking at those leaderboards.
Yeah, I'm fucking first, mate. I'm going up every day.
Well, there you go.
I'm going up every day.
And then you're committed more to the cause because you're like, well, I want to be the one that,
I'll see if I can show it on the camera.
Abstains from social media.
Yeah, so it's, I don't think it's going to see it, but so that's what it looks like. So
okay, right.
So
and
there's
so
I like I have like a certain time in the day where I schedule, right? So there is from when I wake up, so like until 11 a.m. I'm not allowed to go on it. So if I've got this, you have like these streaks and stuff, you know, all that shenanigans, but the message that comes up is different. It's like it doesn't even give me, it's not my window of time where I can even use those 10 blocks. Like if you're going to do it, like you've kind of like have to commit and say, right, you're stopping this moment of being present on whatever you're focusing on. And I've set that for like 3 different times of the day. Like it's from 9:45 in the evening until I think it's 10:30 or 11 a.m. where it like basically won't let me like do it. It kind of it adds a block, adds like resistance to you doing it because you're then like fuck, I'm gonna break that streak or whatever. Honestly, mate, there's definitely bugs with the app. Like there's bits that do and don't work in my opinion. But in terms of the process of having the accountability partner, mate, that would, if I was talking about self-discipline, I would say that's probably up there with one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
Of that, I mean, knowing what I'm trying to achieve, the goals, and then having an accountability partner, I think have been like the 2 biggest influences.
Which is why I think, you know, with my running, I know that I don't have a coach right now, but I know in the future I've always desired to have a coach, and hopefully one day I want to be a coach. But that kind of person again will be your accountability, will play that role in your life, because there's another component to this in that I'm learning now as part of my weakness is that I found it very difficult to exercise self-restraint when it was needed.
In terms of resting,
because my discipline, my commitment to the cause was stronger than the rationale that would have said you don't need to. So if I was, you know, and there's many examples when I've been running, you know, I've felt sick. I've been like injured. I've had, you know, whatever it might be, I will still run despite that. Whereas actually, I think reflectively, and I'm only thinking reflectively because I had an injury and I haven't been able to run the last 3 or 4 weeks. But it was because I kept running despite the fact I was injured, because I kept saying to myself, I need to run. I need to commit to this run. Whereas actually, the disciplined thing to do is
I'm injured.
I need to rest.
Yeah.
And for me, resting is uncomfortable. So I suppose it's a lesson here that, you know, I'm saying, you know, you need to be able to sit in discomfort, but discomfort
that is your discomfort,
and that's my
now.
Discomfort. Discomfort comes in many different ways, and I find it incredibly difficult to sit there and not do the thing I said I was going to do, especially when it comes to running or exercise. Even if I know it's in my best interest to not do it. And I've had a big learning curve, and I'm now being much more aware and considerate of how I'm feeling, and acknowledging that, giving it space, respecting it, and seeing it as a form of discipline, to say it's a disciplined thing to do to take rest today, or it's a disciplined thing to do to be more attentive and responsive to how your body is feeling. And there's minutiae between like how your body feels when you actually shouldn't run to I don't feel like I want to run, but I actually can run and I should run. But
but like there's difference between pain and aches.
Yes. So this is all like a whole new learning curve for me. But that's my kind of goal for this year is to
do less.
Is to kind of do less in order to do more.
That's why we said at the start that there's like proper trials and tribulations that come with discipline. You can reading about and saying things about discipline is very different to the act of doing discipline. I think you can get perceptions of what you think you're going to do by applying discipline, and then like you say, it comes back to the discomfort. Sometimes it then becomes uncomfortable, or there's things that are more challenging than you perceive them to be, and then that's where you start to question your own self-discipline. But I also think a big message you have to say is that you need to forgive yourself as well.
Because it resonates.
Resonates, yeah. I think that we're human beings, for fuck's sake, which is why I don't always prescribe. Like, listen, David Goggins, man, achieved unbelievable things. No denying it. No denying it.
Yeah.
You're going to have no fucking knees when you're 70. You're going to have none. Nothing. There is... take a day off every so often. You know what I mean? Like, I know that that's his mentality, and it's like it's about building like this mental, the building the wall around you, and that you can fucking drive through everything. But in a similar vein to, I suppose, your own injuries, like it's that it creates a perception. If you go so deep into that belief of self-discipline and what that can unlock for you, is that you kind of just lose a little bit of grip on reality, in my opinion. And that, like, to say that like you can't take a window of time to allow your body to recover, or if like you are like fully blown burnout, or you're like properly ill, you know, if you've not got anything that's like life threatening, or like something that's going to really, you know, change the course of your entire existence, like is it that bad to have a few days off?
Yeah.
Like, do you need? But I suppose when you're entrenched in that world, it's hard to then see the other side of it. But it's sometimes I just don't prescribe to what self-discipline is sold as.
Yeah.
It's more free flowing than that.
It has to be. I mean, it's a powerful message, and I think it's a necessary message, because some people need that in there. They need that injection of discipline and motivation in their lives in order to restore order. If their life is a bit chaotic, or they feel a bit despondent, or they feel like their life is worthless. But I think there's aspects of, we're taking Goggins as an example, but there's aspects of his life that we don't know about. And we don't know
Absolutely.
how, and we don't know how his daily life is lived. Whether I can only imagine it has to encroach on his relationships. It has to compromise his perspective on things, the way he interfaces with the world at large. Like there's a big payoff here. But what you're seeing is all the incredible things that he does, and all the achievements, and all of the, the commitment to self-discipline. But what you're not seeing is the adverse effects of that. I think people need to just be careful about,
Or it's the humanization of him. Is that it's kind of robotic in a way.
It is, yeah.
I just think if you're gonna put that message out there about the importance of self-discipline and what it can do for you in your life, it's like anything. I think you need to ensure that you understand the influential nature of a certain position you're in. Like, he's in a very and very deserved. He's done some of the most absolutely obscene, ridiculous things known to man, and without the discipline that he has had, he would not have been able to have accomplished those things. But it's similar to like I think it's just an awareness of the modern world. And when you put that message out there and you don't necessarily fully justify then what that means for the rest of your life or other aspects of your life, those that are in the more impressionable position, or like those that are trying to really build their own sense of self-discipline and they want to achieve these different things, I think you kind of then lose sight a little bit of how you bring that about in a balanced way so that you can enjoy your life. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think forgive yourself. If you have a day off, don't shoot yourself in the face.
It's totally fine.
It's totally fine. If you have a fucking McDonald's,
it's okay.
Enjoy it. I love a Big Mac.
Yeah.
I'll enjoy it. It's not to say I'm going to eat a Big Mac every single day, but if a Big Mac comes rolling in every so often, I'm not going to, say that I'm an undisciplined piece of shit.
I mean, again, it's to savor the joyful, like, indulgent moments in your life, like.
And I am sure he does do. I'm not trying to bash the hell out of him. But it's why this, in my opinion, needed to be more of a conversational experience related to things that we have gone through, and rather than being, to be disciplined, you need to follow these 8 steps. because it's not. It just isn't that way. There's helpful things that you can adopt in so many different ways, and I think it's useful to spend time looking into those things.
I mean, there's lots of literature out there.
There's lots of literature.
That you can
not
find.
that you've fucking read even a penny of it.
No,
for this
no,
podcast.
no. I haven't prepared for this specific podcast, but I've read lots of things. I've actually read
you
both
would
of
have read a
Goggins.
lot.
I've read both of Goggins' books.
And what did you think?
Well, I mean, he's had a very traumatic childhood. I will say that. And at one point, he weighed over like 300 pounds or something.
And then he did like an
insane
ludicrous run, didn't he?
Yeah, an insane exercise regime and diet in order to like lose the weight to join the Marines. X, Y, and Z. But he also comes across as someone who is hyper vigilant about his surroundings and is very, very aggressively acute about things like. I don't know how to describe his intense. There's an intensity that comes with him, from what I heard and was reading. In order to do some of the things that he's done,
for sure.
Half the stuff that he's done isn't even like I say public knowledge, but like it's in the book, but he's not talking about it on podcasts. No. And
so yeah, in that context, shout out Goggy.
Yeah,
absolutely, the big G, the big DG.
But as we say, with that. You just need to be mindful about the kind of approach you're going to adopt.
If you're prescribing to the value and happiness that self-discipline can bring you.
Yes. And it can bring you immeasurable happiness.
How much happiness?
A lot.
Oh, so immeasurable.
No, immeasurable. I mean, infinite amount of happiness. But no, it really can. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I think you could look back reflectively. Do you have to be ambitious to be self-disciplined? Or are those like entangled with one another? I don't know, but. What I will say is like, I know the kind of life that I want to lead now. I know where I want to be. And I've just so enjoyed the person I'm becoming. And I know that self-discipline is like the foundation of all of that. And I'm excited and I'm very grateful as well to have found the self-discipline, and I'm also like proud, and I think, I'm proud of all the work I've done, and all the work I'm going to do, and I think the self-discipline I've built now is kind of like a insurance policy. It's like I don't need to think about almost like
what it will take to do certain things
because I know I will commit. It's like I just know I've built the discipline, and once you've built the discipline, like it's extremely hard to
then break away from
it.
That comes back to habit.
Yeah,
you've created the habit.
Yeah,
and it's that. Yeah, it's not an act. Like self-discipline is like not an act. Almost, it's a habit.
It's a habit, really. Yeah,
yeah.
And you think about, I don't know. You listen to you. You must have, spoken to some people that lack self-discipline, and I know exactly what that feels like to lack self-discipline. And to me it feels like they just seem like a bit lost, a bit like confused, a bit that they lack purpose, or they maybe are a bit ashamed in what they're doing, or I just can only extol the benefits of finding discipline and starting small, as we've discussed, those small steps, building your way into a much more robust version of that.
I agree. I would not be. We would not be sat here right now in this particular position if it wasn't for the many hours of unseen work.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. It's challenging. That's where the growth comes from, and it's also stems from the habit and the motivation and passion that we have for it. So you have to find the right thing. You have to commit the time, you have to commit the energy, you have to make sure it's directed in a certain way via goals, and then you need to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Some little life lessons.
And surround yourself with the right people.
which I have
Find the
failed
right
to do
people.
for this fucking podcast.
Oh. No, I'm never going to let this go. Next time I'm going to come over prepared.
Yeah, and I'm going to come vastly underprepared.
I just want to recall because you were talking about Jake, the guy that owns Mason Label, and how you're learning a lot and you've realized how much more disciplined you could be and things you can adapt. Efficient. How much more efficient you could be. Okay. But he's almost like a mentor or a role model or someone that you can look to and learn from. And he inspires you to keep moving forward and to remain disciplined, right?
Listen, this guy's head is going to be fucking massive after this. So yeah, if we could, let's fucking reel that in ever so slightly, No, but no, you're right. You're absolutely right. But sorry, you're about to make a butt point.
I just remember when we were living together, what I so enjoyed was that both me and you would get up at the same time. Yeah, often around sort of 5:30, and both of us would do it begrudgingly. Both of us were tired as shit. Both of us, we didn't really.
We saw the pain in action.
Yeah, we were just vacant souls, but it was like a brotherhood there. It was like we were both in it together.
Yeah, and it makes a difference, man.
And it makes a difference. And there was even some days where again, it's all a bit just like playful now, but when you got up and I hadn't, and I was like, you son of a bitch.
And then there were times, that I'd wake up and I'd be like, today is not the day, and just turn the alarm off and go back to bed. And then I'd wake up and you'd like done your run or whatever, and you come downstairs, you eat your granola and like all these berries and stuff. You're like, yeah, you're right. I was like, you think you're some of that? Well, listen, if I could pan that camera, I would show the little thing of celebrations next to Dave.
No, they don't. I didn't come with them. Okay,
but he ate them, guys.
I ate one.
4.
Because that was in my schedule.
Oh yeah, amazing stuff, man.
Well, I think we covered all the bases.
I think we covered some pretty good bases there.
Yeah. I think
pleasure.
You've got all you need now.
Yeah. So bin off all the other people that do this for a job and just sink your teeth into this puppy.
Yeah.
But even regardless, we've said this so many times. The podcast is for others as much as it is for us. I think it's a validation point, a reminder of the work that we've done to get to this point, and it's kind of nice that we're able to talk about it in detail.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I love
Always
it.
a pleasure, never
Always
a burden.
A pleasure, and many more disciplined years to come.
Hopefully. I hope so.
Hopefully.
I believe so.
Maybe we'll have a phase.
Maybe we'll have a
Like,
phase. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But people, if you want to see some more content just like this, then please give Expressions of Happiness a follow on our lovely social media. We'll put this up on the screen at some point.
Yes, we have more mini-sodes coming.
Now, there'll be some more mini-sodes coming. There'll be some more Nauki nerds coming. We're wanting to we just want to spread the love. We want to spread the good word of happiness, and hopefully you can join us on this beautiful ride together. But for now, Mr. David Hart, thank you so much.
As always, absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Take it easy, people.
Happy.